Imagine becoming a new parent and having to decide yourself whether to vaccinate your children or not. Although you know the benefits of vaccinations, you've also heard the nasty side effects that come along with it, or so they say. Celebrities and many people around the world are giving light to the side effects instead of the benefits that they could provide. And therefore, parents are more unsure than ever about vaccinations due to the internet exposure and the negative side effects that are being shared that rarely occur. And then others are sticking to the individual rights movement, where they have the right to decide what they do with theirs and their children's bodies. But in reality, vaccines' sole purpose is to successfully and effectively fight and prevent infectious diseases, as well as prevent widespread immunity. So how do they work? Let me show you a video of just how vaccines work.
Get immunized to protect against disease. Diseases like smallpox and polio now affect far fewer people because of widespread vaccination. Vaccines contain inactive viruses or bacteria that stimulate your body's B and T immune cells to produce antibodies, which then fight the disease. When enough people get immunized, vaccines produce herd immunity. When someone is sick, the disease is contained by those who've had the vaccine, preventing it from spreading further and getting to those that are most vulnerable. But if
So as you just saw in the video, when you get sick, your body creates proteins called antibodies to fight the infection. The next time you're exposed to that virus or bacteria, those antibodies keep you from getting sick. Vaccines do the same thing, but they prevent you from getting sick without actually making you sick. Vaccines induce the protective immunity that is a consequence of natural infection, said Paul Offit, chief of the Division of Infectious Diseases. To think of it simply, Offit said getting a vaccine is like having a protective bubble that keeps vaccines and bacteria from attacking your body. Scientists create vaccines by disabling a virus so that it's not able to cause disease, but can help your body to make antibodies. Those antibodies will bind to infections and keep them from making you sick in the future. Although vaccines have not completely vanished, diseases according to the World Health Organization. Immunizations prevent 2 to 3 billion deaths per year, which is insane. Melissa Stockwell, assistant professor of pediatrics and population and family health at Columbia University, says that vaccines are one of the 10 greatest public health achievements of all time, but not all diseases are gone. And that's why it remains critical for parents to vaccinate themselves and their children. Myths. So what is it that is keeping parents away from vaccinating? A big one I hear over and over is that vaccines give children autism. But according to health.com, this is in fact a myth. Although vaccines can cause side effects, the main side effects are redness and soreness at the site of injection. But more and more parents are choosing to forego vaccinations because they're scared of the side effects. Andrew Wakefield released a study in 1998 stating that vaccinations did in fact cause autism. Since then, his study has been deemed flawed and has been banned. Studies have found non-scientific evidence between vaccines and autism. Another common scare is that the vaccination will give the disease that you're trying to prevent. So if you give your child a polio vaccination, they're going to get polio. If you give your child a mumps vaccination, they're going to get mumps, which has been debunked time and time again and has definitely been proven a myth. I myself as a parent could never forgive myself if I decided not to vaccinate my child because I was scared that they would get autism, but in return they got a deadly disease. I could never forgive myself. So who are we putting at risk and who cannot vaccinate? Infants that are too young cannot get all vaccinations. So we are putting them at risk if we do not vaccinate ourselves. They have no way of protecting themselves, as infants sometimes have to wait a few months after born up to 12 months to receive all their vaccinations. So that's why there's so much backlash on parents that are choosing not to vaccinate their children. They're still sending their children to daycare and to school and public places where there are children that are too young to be vaccinated, or there's children that can't be vaccinated due to health reasons. They are potentially putting their lives in danger. The continued argument is that if your child's vaccinated, then why are you scared to be around my kid that's not vaccinated? But again, it comes back to the kids that are too young and the kids that cannot for health reasons. I'm not scared that my kid's going to contract a disease that she's been vaccinated for. But if my child's too young, that there is that chance. A vaccine-preventable disease such as whooping cough could not be as dangerous to a older child or an adult, but spread to an infant that is too young, the results can be deadly, and I've seen it in action. Whooping cough is a nasty, nasty virus to give to a young adult, a young child. So the statistics, the numbers don't lie. About 85% of the world's children receive vaccinations. Approximately 2.6 million deaths occurred before vaccinations each year, just from measles alone. That right there seems to be a win. We are beginning to see more and more measles outbreaks again, and scientists believe that more people choosing to not vaccinate their children is the reason for these outbreaks. There's always an exception. So who cannot get the vaccination? There are some people who cannot physically get the vaccination due to health reasons. I have seen in vaccination pamphlets that if you're allergic to eggs, you cannot get it. There's many other things that could prevent them from getting it. But it's even more important that everyone around these children are getting vaccinated so that they are better protected. I'm going to show you a quick slideshow on just what measles and polio looked like before vaccinations. So this right here is just showing what the measles look like and what the symptoms are. The symptoms are dry cough, fever, sore red eyes, and mouth sores. And then here's the faces of polio. It's showing a kid in the iron lung, and then to the right there is a whole room of people in the iron lung. The polio presents itself by fever, fatigue, headache, vomiting, stiffness in the neck, and pain in the limbs. So looking at the background of the vaccine and the diseases they prevent and the myths that are keeping many people from getting the vaccines, vaccines are important for the whole society. In this day and age, people are traveling more and more out of country. So any exposure to a disease without vaccinations could easily cause an outbreak. So thank you for listening.